Have you ever looked at the relationship with your adult child and felt a distance you couldn't quite name? A space that wasn't created by anger or a single argument, but has slowly, almost imperceptibly, widened over time. It's the quiet heartbreak of modern parenthood. You have poured your entire existence into this person, given them every drop of love you possess, yet the connection now feels fragile, misunderstood. You reach out with a handful of love, and what you get back is polite silence, a brief text, a feeling that you are somehow speaking a language they no longer understand. This isn't about a lack of love. It is never about a lack of love. It's about the language that love now speaks. Imagine, for a moment, that your relationship is a garden. When they were young, this garden was a small, contained plot of land in your backyard. You were the master gardener. You knew exactly which soil to use, how much water was needed, and when to protect the tender seedlings from the frost. Your tools, your words, your rules, your guidance were perfectly suited for this task. They helped cultivate a beautiful, thriving life. But your child has grown. Their garden is no longer a small plot. It is a vast, sprawling landscape of its own, with its own ecosystem, its own climate, its own seasons. And the difficult truth we must face is that the old tools, the ones that worked so perfectly before, no longer serve this new landscape. In fact, some of these tools, wielded with the same loving intention as always, are now inadvertently damaging the very connection you wish to nurture. They are compacting the soil, blocking the sun, and poisoning the roots. For the next 25 minutes, we are going to walk through this new garden together. This is not a video to passively watch while you scroll through your phone. This is a workshop for the heart. This is a journey to understand the new landscape of your relationship and to learn the new tools required to tend it. We will put down the tools of control, guilt, and comparison, and we will learn to pick up the tools of trust, invitation, and empathy. If you are ready to do this work, to learn the language of this new season of parenthood, consider subscribing to this channel as your pledge, a pledge to yourself and to the relationship you cherish. Let us begin this journey together. We step into this vast garden now, and the first old tool we see lying on the path is heavy, and it shines with good intentions. It is the phrase, "I only want what's best for you." It feels so pure, so undeniably loving, doesn't it? It is the anthem of parenthood. We say it when our child quits a stable job for a passion that seems financially precarious. We say it when they choose a partner who doesn't fit the mold we envisioned. We say it when they decide to move to a city far away, leaving the nest not just empty, but geographically distant. The intention behind these words is a shield. You are trying to protect them from pain, from struggle, from the harsh realities of a world that you know all too well. You see the potential storm on the horizon, and you are rushing to build them a shelter. But let us look closer at what happens in the garden when we use this tool. You see a beautiful, strong tree, your child reaching its branches toward the sun in a way you didn't expect. Your fear tells you that this new direction is dangerous, that the sun might scorch the leaves, that the wind might break a branch. So you rush in and say, "I only want what's best for you." And you begin to build a high wall around the tree to protect it. You believe you are offering safety. But what the tree feels is the shadow. What your adult child hears is not, "I love you and I am scared for you." What they hear, beneath the surface of your love, is a quiet, devastating message. "I don't trust you. I don't trust your judgment. I don't trust your ability to navigate your own life. I don't trust that you know what is truly best for yourself." And that perceived lack of trust is a poison to the soil of an adult relationship. It forces them to become defensive, to justify their choices, or worse, to simply stop sharing their life with you altogether, because sharing invites judgment. The great psychoanalyst Carl Jung spoke of a critical process in human development called individuation. It is the journey of becoming a whole, individual self, distinct from our parents and collective society. It is the most important work of adulthood. When a parent says, "I only want what's best for you," and implies that they are the sole arbiter of what best is, they can inadvertently stand in the way of this sacred process. They are, with the purest of intentions, preventing their child from undertaking the very journey they are meant to take. The parent's fear becomes an invisible cage. And the most heartbreaking part? This fear often has less to do with the child and more to do with the parent. It is your fear of their pain, your fear of their failure, your fear that their struggles will reflect on you. It is your own unresolved anxiety about a world you cannot control. So, how do we put down this tool? We replace the tool of protection with the tool of trust. Instead of the wall, we offer sunshine and space. The next time you feel the urge to say, "I only want what's best for you," I want you to pause, take a deep breath, and I want you to try on a new set of words. I trust you are finding what's best for yourself, and I am always here to listen if you want to talk it through. Can you feel the difference? The first is a statement of control. The second is a statement of faith. It communicates the exact same love, the exact same care, but it is filtered through the lens of respect. It says, "Your life is your own, but my love is your constant." Let's try a small exercise right now. Think of a recent decision your child has made that caused you to worry, a choice that triggered that protective instinct in you. Let the details of it surface in your mind. Feel the anxiety that comes with it. Where do you feel it? In your body? In your chest? Your stomach? A tightness in your throat? Acknowledge that feeling. It is the feeling of love tangled up with fear. Now, I want you to consciously practice a new way of thinking. Instead of focusing on the outcome you fear, I want you to practice active curiosity. Ask a question that opens a door instead of closing one. Mentally ask your child, "What excites you about this path?" Or, "What do you hope to learn from this experience?" This shifts the energy from evaluation to understanding. It transforms you from a judge into a confidant. You are no longer gardening for them. You are admiring the unique and unpredictable way their garden is growing, and in doing so, you are invited in. The researcher Brené Brown has taught us that vulnerability is the birthplace of connection. By trying to shield our children from every possible failure, we are denying them the very experiences that build resilience and character. True love is not about eliminating struggle. It is about having unwavering faith in their ability to navigate it. Many parents believe that their job is to prevent their children from making the same mistakes they did. This is a noble, but ultimately flawed, mission. The world your child navigates is not the same world you did. The challenges are different, the opportunities are different, and their definition of a successful, fulfilling life may be profoundly different from yours. A steady corporate job might have been the pinnacle of security for your generation, but for theirs, fulfillment might be found in creative freedom, in entrepreneurial risk, in a life of travel and experience over material acquisition. Healing this part of your relationship does not mean you will never feel fear for them again. That would be impossible. Healing means you learn to honor your fear without letting it dictate your words. You learn to say, "My fear is telling me to control this situation, but my love is telling me to trust you." When you can do that, you are no longer just a parent. You become a sanctuary. Let's walk further down the path in our garden. We come across another tool, one that looks smaller, almost harmless. It's often used with a laugh, a sigh, a tone of playful complaint. It is the phrase, "You never call me." Oh, this one is steeped in a quiet ache. It comes from a place of deep missing. You miss the sound of their voice. You miss being a part of their day-to-day world. The life that once revolved around you now orbits a different sun, and the silence can feel deafening. You are lonely for your child, and that is a real and valid pain. But let's look at what this tool does to the garden. When you say, "You never call me," what you are trying to say is, "I miss you." But what your child hears is, "You are failing me. You are a disappointment. You are not a good enough son or daughter." The words, intended to pull them closer, are laced with guilt, and guilt is a terrible fertilizer. It does not nurture connection. It breeds resentment and avoidance. Think about it. If every time you approached a beautiful rose bush, it pricked you with thorns of guilt, how often would you want to go near it? Your child's life is likely a whirlwind of pressure, work deadlines, financial stress, social obligations, their own relationships, perhaps their own children. Their energy is a finite resource. When a call from you feels like an obligation, another task on an endless to-do list where they are destined to fail, they will subconsciously begin to avoid it. The phone in their hand will start to feel heavy, not with the promise of connection, but with the weight of expectation and potential disappointment. This dynamic is often rooted in what psychologists call attachment styles, formed in our earliest years. If a parent has a more anxious attachment style, they may require more frequent reassurance to feel secure in the relationship. When that need isn't met, the anxiety surfaces as a complaint or a criticism. But this tactic, as the school of nonviolent communication pioneered by Marshall Rosenberg teaches us, confuses our needs with our strategy. Your need is for connection, to feel loved and remembered. Your strategy is to use guilt to get it. But it is a failing strategy. It is like trying to quench your thirst by drinking salt water. So, we must learn a new strategy. We must put down the tool of guilt and pick up the tool of warm invitation. The reframe is simple, yet it can change everything. Instead of, "You never call me," try, "I was just thinking about you, and it made me smile. I love hearing your voice whenever you have a free moment. It truly brightens my day." Do you feel the monumental shift in energy? The first is a demand. The second is a gift. The first is a locked door they have to find the courage to knock on. The second is a wide open door with a light on, welcoming them in whenever they are able. It removes the pressure and replaces it with affection. It makes them want to call, not because they should, but because the interaction is a source of warmth, not stress. Let's try this together, right now. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your child's face. Picture them in the midst of their busy life. Now, I want you to silently, in your own mind, send them the first message. "You never call me." Feel the weight of it. Feel the subtle accusation, the disappointment. Now, let that feeling dissolve. Take a breath. And this time, send them the second message. "Thinking of you. Hope you're having a good day." Feel the lightness of it. The warmth. The lack of agenda. One is a stone. The other is a feather. Which one do you think is more likely to travel the distance and land softly in their heart? To cultivate this new dynamic, you have to release the old expectations of what communication should look like. A relationship with an adult child doesn't always involve long weekly phone calls. In this age of digital connection, love and care are often expressed in different forms. A quick text with a funny photo, a shared meme that reminded you of them, a short voice note left with no expectation of an immediate reply. These are the new dialects of connection. If you dismiss these small bids for connection because they don't fit your old definition, you are essentially letting perfectly good rain evaporate because you are waiting for a flood. Celebrate the text. Appreciate the photo. Respond with warmth to the small gestures. When you show gratitude for the way they can show up, they are often inspired to show up more. The goal is not frequency, it is quality. It is about making every interaction a safe harbor, a place of emotional warmth and acceptance. When your presence, whether on the phone or in a text, feels like a pleasure and not a performance review, your child will naturally gravitate towards you. They will come to the garden not because they feel obligated to water it, but because they are thirsty for the pure, clean water of your unconditional love. And now we come to the third tool. It is the most common, the most ingrained, and perhaps the most underestimated in its power to create distance. It is a phrase that comes from the deep well of your own life experience, a well you are desperate for your child to drink from so they can avoid the thirst you once knew. It is the phrase, "When I was your age." We say it with such authority, with a sense of nostalgia, and with a genuine desire to impart wisdom. You have survived recessions, navigated difficult relationships, raised a family, and overcome obstacles they haven't even encountered yet. Your life is a library of hard-earned lessons, and you simply want to give them the books so they don't have to learn everything the hard way. It is a profound act of love. And yet, in the garden of your relationship, this tool often acts like a herbicide. It is meant to kill the weeds of their potential mistakes, but it often ends up harming the very flower of their self-confidence. When a conversation begins with, "When I was your age," it immediately ceases to be a dialogue. It becomes a lecture. It sets up an implicit comparison, a yardstick against which your child's struggles are being measured, and almost always found wanting. What they hear is not your wisdom, but a subtle dismissal of their reality. They hear, "My struggles were harder, and I handled them better," or "Your problems aren't as serious as you think they are." It invalidates their experience. The fundamental flaw in this approach is that you were never their age in this age. The world has undergone a seismic shift. When you were their age, there was no internet creating constant social comparison, no gig economy creating financial instability, no 24/7 news cycle fueling a collective anxiety. The pressures are different. The landscape is different. To use your past as a direct blueprint for their present is like using a map of an old country to navigate a new one. The landmarks have changed. The roads are gone. The wisdom is still valuable, but the map itself is obsolete. The psychiatrist Bessel van der Kolk, a leading expert on trauma, explains that our memories are not just stories, they are felt, physiological experiences stored in the body. When you recall your past, you are recalling the emotional and sensory reality of your world. But by superimposing it onto your child's, you deny the validity of their emotional and sensory reality, which can feel like a profound betrayal. The solution is not to discard your wisdom. Your stories are a treasure. The solution is to change the way you offer them. You must put down the tool of comparison and pick up the tool of compassionate storytelling. Instead of beginning with, "When I was your age," I want you to try a different door, a door of vulnerability and shared humanity. Try this. "I remember feeling something very similar. The situation was different, but the feeling of being overwhelmed. I know that feeling. Can I share what helped me get through it?" This reframe is revolutionary. It moves you from a position of superiority to a position of solidarity. You are not lecturing from a pedestal. You are sitting beside them in the trenches of human experience, sharing a story from a past battle. Your experience becomes an offering, not a directive. Let's do our final exercise. Bring to mind a piece of advice you've recently wanted to give your child, something born from your own life. Perhaps it was about finances, or a career choice, or a relationship. Now, I want you to distill that advice down to its core emotional truth. Beneath the practical steps, what was the feeling? Was it the feeling of fear, of scarcity? The feeling of regret over a missed opportunity? The feeling of empowerment from standing up for yourself? Now, imagine sharing the story starting from that emotional place. Instead of, "When I was your age, I had to save every penny," try, "I remember the constant, heavy feeling of financial anxiety. It was exhausting. And it taught me some things that eventually brought me peace." You are not giving them a command. You are sharing a part of your soul. You are connecting on the level of universal human emotion. This is the ground where true understanding can grow. The most powerful way to connect with your adult child is not through your perfection, but through your humanity. They don't need to hear about the times you were right. They need to hear about the times you were lost, scared, and uncertain, just like them. They need to know that the wise, capable parent they see before them was also once a young person stumbling through the dark. That shared vulnerability is the bridge between generations. When you share your struggles without comparing them, your life story ceases to be a rule book and becomes a source of inspiration. It becomes a testament to the resilience they too carry within them. So you see, the garden has not been ruined. It is not too late. The quiet distance you feel is not a permanent state. It is simply a sign that the season has changed, and it is time for you to change with it. The power to transform this relationship does not lie in being a perfect parent. It lies in being an evolving one. It's not about erasing the times you've used these old tools. It's about having the awareness and the courage to put them down now, to replace the wall of protection with the sunshine of trust, to replace the stone of guilt with the open door of invitation, and to replace the yardstick of comparison with the shared story of compassion. This is the great, beautiful, and sometimes painful transition of parenthood. Your role shifts. You are no longer the lead gardener, responsible for every drop of water and ray of sun. You are now the mighty oak tree at the edge of the garden. You no longer direct the growth, but you provide shade, stability, and a deep, quiet strength. Your presence becomes your greatest gift. You are the anchor in their harbor, the constant they can always return to, knowing they will find, not judgment, but unconditional love. In this new role, your words stop being lessons. They simply become love. So perhaps today, after this journey, you can plant a new seed. Send a message with no agenda, no request. A simple, "I was just thinking of the person you've become, and it makes me so proud." Or a simple, "I love you." Then, do the hardest part. Leave space. Let them come to that warmth at their own pace. Because love, in its purest form, does not demand. It invites. And a gentle invitation, spoken in the new language of trust and respect, is a sound that can echo across any distance and last for a lifetime. Step back and admire the garden. See how it thrives in its own unique way. Be proud of the forest. You planted the first tree.